Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_daddy. Sorry if I sound a little goofy. Just got a little head cold thing going on, no big deal. Just living in abject misery, death, destruction, chaos, all living in my face. Anywho, today is going to be, pretty normal day. I do have some news and notesy stuff to get to. We'll see how much we get through, et cetera, et cetera. I want to start with this, though. So generally, it's non-Packers. I like to do NFL, then NFC North, then Packers is kind of the way that this goes. But I just saw this a minute ago, and it's one of those things. I just want to touch on it because I keep seeing it, and it keeps annoying me. And it happens in a couple different areas. But there's this thing out there where people assume that, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. If you think something is wrong and you try to fix it and it didn't work, then that means the thing you tried to fix wasn't the problem. And it's a bad way to put it because generally speaking, from the sake of troubleshooting, that is the situation. But let me give you a more specific example. I saw a video recently, and there's no point I don't want to go find it anyways, but there's no point highlighting who it was that said it. But it was a Packers personality, we'll call him, that was just talking about the Bisacchia situation, nothing really that deep. But at one point, there was a comment about, I think it's safe to say that we know that this runs deeper than Bisacchia because this has been going on for a long time, essentially. I don't understand that. I don't understand the idea that it can't be the special teams coordinator because we've tried multiple special teams coordinators and this didn't fix it. So what? I saw somebody else. It was another, go ahead.
Package delivered.
I saw another person. This was on one of the ESPN shows, I think, but it was the same thing where they were defending Rich Bisacchia on the basis that this is a systemic problem because it's been going on in Green Bay for a long time. So what? First of all, systemic failure is, or I shouldn't even say systemic, long-standing failure is kind of normal. We've seen multiple examples of it just in Green Bay. Every team has examples of things that they've tried to fix over long periods of time and have struggled to do so. We've had trouble finding long snappers. We've had trouble finding punters. We've had trouble finding kickers. We've had trouble finding running backs and wide receivers and cornerbacks for sure, drafting first-round picks over and over again. Seattle has struggled to find offensive linemen for a long time. Minnesota, for a long time, really struggled to find offensive linemen and still kind of are. Minnesota struggling to find corners. I mean, The point is, it's not like this really weird thing where it's like, man, we've tried like two things and it hasn't fixed it. So I think there's some kind of deep conspiratorial thing going on. Like San Francisco 49ers with the power towers or whatever that are hanging up that are, putting all these freaking rays through their brains and making them have torn ACLs and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we got to get crazy with it. And specifically, this person that said, like, the better part of a decade. Okay, half of a decade has been one special teams guy. Bisacchia was 4 years. But so what? I mean, can you imagine? And by the way, Bears fans do this all the time. Well, it's not Justin Fields. It's the offensive line. Okay, well, it's not Justin Fields, then it's the wide receivers. Okay, we fixed that. Okay, well, then it's the coach. Okay, well, then it must be something else. No, dude, it's Justin Fields. Now, what you didn't hear them say, fortunately, is it's not Fields. It's some systemic thing that just lives in Chicago. There's no point getting rid of him and getting a new quarterback because there's a deeper problem here. How do you know that? Well, this is because it's been going on for a long time. So what? I mean, we didn't say that about Joe Barry when we got Jeff Hafley. Maybe some people did, but I mean, what's the point? There's obviously a systemic problem. It's the way that they run the team. It's some kind of weird organizational failure, like a cancer. Nobody can really identify it, but it's just this abstract sort of thing that's intertwined in the fabric and the DNA of the team. And so you can't fix it just by replacing the special teams coordinator. That's what everybody says until they find the right person and it actually gets fixed. And that isn't obviously to say that Bisacchia is the entire problem, and the fact that you can point to other individual issues is fine. But the very simple fact of the matter is he the guy that can fix this? No. Then find a guy who can. Well, what's the point? The point is, he is not fixing the problems. And we need to find someone else that can. And you can't even bring in a parallel with Matt LaFleur, even though I was on the side of firing him, because Matt LaFleur's offense is awesome. There might be some situational team issues, but even that is hard to identify what exactly that is or how that gets fixed. The special teams is just kind of bad across the board. There's nothing redeemable about it. There might have been some things that have improved, whoop-de-frickin-do, from dead last in the league to, 19th? According to, I think DVOA had us 20th, PFF 19th, somewhere in that range. Yeah, that's improvement. You still suck in this sort of weird, hopeless thing where it's just it's just it's a deep-seated thing. Really? What exactly is it? Well, they don't invest in the special teams. First of all, completely untrue. Can you demonstrate that? Well, yeah, when they didn't hire the top special teams coach a long time ago. Okay, well, that's already been refuted 1,000 times, and then they immediately went out and paid Bisacchia. What else you got? Using draft picks on special teamers, something that even fans don't want us to do. When Brandon McManus became available, he was immediately the best kicker available. Who got him? Oh, the Packers. When Rich Bisacchia wanted something, they went out and got it for him, including kickers in the draft. Allowing a special teams coordinator, by the way, to make a draft pick in the freaking draft is wild, by the way. But this is all just fake nonsense. It's all just this belief that there's the organization is, from people that want to believe the organization is a failed organization and is a failure. Go figure. They have come to the conclusion that it's not Bisacchia, it's an organizational failure. Wow. I am shocked that you came to that conclusion, the same conclusion you've come to for the last 10 years. It's amazing how everything points back to exactly your priors every single time. It's incredible how that happens. But we've seen massive turnarounds all the time. For example, the Seattle Seahawks, which I know everybody now believes that the Seahawks have just been this powerhouse for the better part of 15 years because Schneider's a great GM. They have these really weird memories that just where they blacked out for a decade because the Seahawks have been kind of bad. Ever since Russell Wilson started to downturn, it was bad, and then it started getting worse and worse, and they went out and got Geno, and that was terrible, and it's not been very good. And then they go out and get a new coach, and he completely changes everything. By the way, New England did the exact same thing. Went out and got a new coach, changed the entire culture and organization, and they marched to the freaking Super Bowl. You know why that happened? Because they didn't sit back and go, well, what's the point? We'll never be able to do it now without Tom Brady. We'll never get Bill Belichick again. Bro, just shut up and go hire somebody. What are you whining about? You're so freaking pathetic. Yeah, there might be other issues too. Cool, fix those too. I don't freaking care. But the special teams coordinator needs to be replaced. Period. He wasn't the guy that was changing the culture and making us a very good special teams unit. He very obviously was not. I'm just tired of hearing about this. There's something that runs deeper than Bisacchia. And what is that? Well, they just don't care. They don't put starters on their special teams. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. We had Romeo Dobbs returning kicks, for crying out loud. They absolutely do. Lucas Van Ness is on special teams, bro. But you didn't know that because you don't even know who's on special teams. So why are you saying stupid stuff? You have no idea who's on special teams. And by the way, before we move off of this, let me just tell you what I'm almost 95% sure is going to happen. We're going to hire a special teams coordinator. That person is probably not going to radically transform our special teams. I say that because that's usually how it goes, which is exactly why people go with this whole runs deeper thing, because for some reason in most people's minds, 75% of these coaches are just great, or 80 or 90, I don't really know. And so the fact that we've had 2 or 3 in a row that are not good is bro, something is going on. No, most of these guys are not good and get fired. That's the way that this goes. And so you just keep finding new people until you find one that works. And then you're happy for 5 seconds until they get hired away to a new job. Good thing about special teams coordinators, they very rarely become head coaches. So exhaust every resource to find one that's good and then keep him forever. It's going to be hard to do that, by the way, if you hang on to somebody 3 years too long every time. Call it 2 years too long, I guess. You can give him a second year. But trying to give the guy 5 years, give him a fifth year, and he had to quit himself, good freaking Lord. But anywho, what is going to happen is we're going to hire somebody, more likely than not because of anything the Packers did, but because of just basic statistics on how many good special teams coaches there are, probably will not transform the special teams. And you know what we're going to hear? See? Told you it runs deeper. See? I told you it'll never get better. It's an organizational failure. Nope, it's not. Fire the guy, hire a new one. That's it. Keep going. Stop crying. We don't have to stop and take a break every minute and whine and moan. Just keep going. Keep going. Well, that failed. Great. Fire him. Hire a new one. Look, if you find a problem, fix it. That's it. But I have yet to hear anyone articulate a single problem outside of the coordinator, not reasonably, other than some, again, these weird abstract nonsense theories. Something deep down in the bones of the organization. It's written in the law books of the way we draft and develop. Oh, okay, cool. Anyways, fire Bisacchia and hire a new coach, will you? Okay? Because at almost any stop, at any position, again, assuming as I do that the Packers being unwilling to work with the special teams coordinator and do what is necessary being complete nonsense. If it's players, fine, it's still the coordinator because we brought in Bisacchia's players. If it's culture, it's Bisacchia's culture. If it's coaching, it's his coaching. If it's teaching, it's his teaching. It's him across the board. You think Gutekunst is telling Bisacchia who's allowed to play on his special teams unit? Give me a frickin' break. I hate when it's phrased as like we know. I think we all know that it's deeper. No, we don't. I don't know that. In fact, I know that you don't know that, but you might think you know that. But I definitely don't know that. I will tell you I don't know that because I don't know that. If your quarterback isn't good, just get a new one. Right, Chicago? Just keep getting new quarterbacks. That's it. The Browns still have yet to really find one. I mean, Baker was pretty good, and then they got rid of him. But you know what they should do? Keep trying. You know what the Raiders should do? Keep trying. Maybe Mendoza's the guy. And you know what? He probably isn't. And you're probably still going to be a bad team, and he's not going to be the guy that makes you elite. And you know what you do? You get a new one after that. You just keep going. You keep trying until you get the guy. So what the Chiefs did, they sucked and they sucked and they sucked and they sucked and they sucked, and then they got Pat Mahomes, won a bunch of Super Bowls. And nobody remembers when they sucked for like ever. That's what the Packers need to do. Keep going and going and going until our special teams is good and is consistently good long enough that the memory of us not having a good special teams is just that. It's a distant memory. It's like when we never had a run game. Just didn't exist. Packers can't run the ball. Everybody knows that. It's just not a thing. You can't run the ball. We don't have good running backs. It's never going to be a thing. And then we got Eddie Lacy, and suddenly we could run the ball well. And then shortly after that, we got Aaron Jones. And now we have Josh Jacobs. Can't run the ball. That's a separate issue. But you know what I mean? It's a distant memory back in the days of like Starks, where, no offense to Starks, but 2 yards and down, 2.5 yards, just every play. It's a distant memory. Just go get somebody, okay? Thank you very much. Take a break. We'll be right back. All right, getting to some other news. I thought this was funny, so I'm just going to go ahead and play this.
But what I really want to tell you, and why I really didn't give reports on this weekend or on this Super Bowl,
it's Michael Irvin, by the way.
I didn't want to say it while I was in the midst of it. I wanted to wait till it was over. Honestly, locker room, this is a horrible Super Bowl. They should never, ever, ever, ever bring the Super Bowl back to San Francisco.
I'm about 65% sure he's drunk right now, so I appreciate that he just got liquored up, turned the camera on, and said, let's get super honest.
I'm sorry. The city, this was, in all the years of going to a Super Bowl, this was the worst. This seemed so like blah. It was blah in the city. You know what I mean? It just wasn't jumping like you see in Super Bowls jumping. It was blah. The people blah blah. The buildings out here looks blah. You know, when you go and you're going to events, it's like blah. I'm thinking it should be so much money out here because the tech is out here, right? But it all looks so blah. Blah, 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 blah.
He's drunk.
And I didn't want to dampen anybody thoughts or hope about a Super Bowl during the Super Bowl. So I said, I'm going to wait. But I couldn't wait till this moment came to tell you, damn. This, I believe, the worst Super Bowl I've ever gone to. And I'm talking about just seeing it and how the city rocks and everything. And then the game started and it followed suit. I was like, this is not a good game, you know, after not having a great week here. But I hope the people of San Fran don't hate me for it. Because I've had great times here and, you know, came here and played some nice championship games, NFC championship games. But this, no more. You cannot bring that Super Bowl back here anymore. No. That's just my thoughts. You know, I mean, literally, you could not go anywhere on the streets. It took forever to get right down the street because traffic was so bad. And what they had blocked off, I mean, you literally could not get anywhere. This was, yeah. God bless him. God bless him. But whoever put this whole system together and trying to make it, you know, blocked off the streets. It was the worst. It was the worst. NFL, you cannot come back here again. You cannot have a Super Bowl back here.
All right, I think we get the point. First of all, it reiterates what we all said about the game itself, which was very blah, very boring, very bland. But I never want to pass on an opportunity to crap on these the coastal types who love to crap on us all the time. I just find it funny because there's always this feeling of people that live out there that they live where everybody wants to live. Everybody wants to be out there. They just can't or something for some reason. And nobody would ever want to be somewhere like Green Bay. That's why free agents, of course, would never want to come here, even though they consistently come here all the time. Everybody wants to be in San Francisco. Everybody would love to if they could. And you got Michael Irvin, who's like, bro, I've been to a billion Super Bowls, and this is the worst I've ever experienced. And it wasn't just the game, it was the city. The city sucks. The buildings suck. The people suck. The traffic sucks. By the way, the police, the city, the government, whatever, that was supposed to set things up, complete incompetence, go figure. It's supposed to be blocking things off or whatever, failed, suck. Oh yeah, that's a shock. I was thinking about it though. You know, if you think about who inhabits a lot of the San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York places, there's two people. There's people that have lived there their entire lives. And then you got the people who are from the Midwest or South or wherever that flocked to those areas because in their mind, it is the greatest place in the world. And so if you live in New York, you're either one of those people or are surrounded by those people who believe that it's the greatest place. Plus, if you grew up there, you believe it's the greatest place. So everybody in your circle believes it's the greatest place. I don't think you recognize how much the people that don't flock to New York and San Francisco really despise even the thought of ever going there, much less spending my entire life there. Most of us live close to cities and will avoid going there at all cost. For 45 minutes, I can be in Milwaukee or Madison, and I will never go there again for the rest of my life if I can avoid it. And in about an hour and a half or so, I'll be in Chicago. I don't even want to go to Green Bay. A little too much going on there, you know what I mean? Too many people, too many cars. I'm good. So Michael Irvin crapping on San Francisco, I couldn't pass up the opportunity. Sorry if you're a San Francisco listener or whatever. I just, a lot of your neighbors like to talk trash. We get it from, I generally it's Chicago people that we get it from. And so that's usually my biggest beef is Chicago people who think Chicago's so freaking great. But, you remember when the Packers had the draft last year? Oh, it was going to be the worst thing in the world. Oh, I can't even believe it. I can't believe it. Freaking elitist jagoffs. Some guy who grew up in Michigan and flew out to L.A. that suddenly is like some elitist. Bro, you're from Lansing. Shut up. Freaking wannabe scumbag. In other news, the estate of Paul Allen today announced it has commenced a formal sale process for the Seattle Seahawks NFL franchise. Talk about selling high. Imagine wanting to get out of the biz. You buy a business for like $100 million. It's worth like, billions now. And you're like, I don't know, man. We got to get out of here. This sucks. And all of a sudden you win a Super Bowl. It's like, sell everything now. So this news was already kind of out there, but the Seattle Seahawks officially put out a statement that is beginning. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up buying it. Looks like it could be about $7 to $10 billion the business will be worth. It's not a terrible investment, huh? I'm sure they've owned it for a long time, but still turning it to it's like a $100,000 house you bought in 1995, now worth $10 million. We'll find that house. Some other NFL news. James Conner, the running back, could be a potential cap casualty. It's another guy being added to the free agent list. Wyatt Teller, talked about him already in terms of the Cleveland Browns offensive line might be entirely overhauled. But via Mike Garafolo, Browns free agent to be Wyatt Teller and his wife Carly just posted a farewell to Cleveland on IG, one of the top guards on the market. Teller is headed elsewhere after 7 seasons with the team. So, that is going to be a name to very strongly consider for the Packers. Do I think it'll happen? No, I don't. He's very old, and I'm not convinced that the Packers believe they need to go out in free agency and get offensive line help. This only really becomes, it's already interesting as something that we should know and be aware of just in case. This doesn't become interesting until Elton Jenkins leaves, or more importantly, Banks leaves. If Elton Jenkins leaves, which he probably will, all that means is, first of all, we need a center, which Wyatt Teller is not. But also we have Sean Ryan that I don't know that they feel they need to replace him. Which the whole thing is so funny because even among like Packer fans that like Sean Ryan and everything, can anyone just acknowledge to me that our offensive line was one of the worst? Not only maybe the worst in the PFF era, worst in arguably my freaking lifetime, considering how good Rodgers and Favre's offensive lines were. And yet we got to sit here and hem and haw about, well, I don't think he was that bad. He wasn't that bad. I don't want to hear it. There wasn't a single redeemable thing about our offensive line, really at all. Now, Zach Tom can't be blamed because he was hurt, but even Zach Tom was not Zach Tom. Elton Jenkins was hurt. Belton was bad. Sean Ryan was appalling. Jordan Morgan wasn't super great from the times that he got to play in all different positions. Rasheed Walker was bad. And Banks is despicable. But anyways, Wyatt Teller is officially on the market saying he's not going to return to Cleveland. I feel like I've seen that more this year than I've ever seen that before. I've made an announcement. I will not be returning. Oh, are you retiring? No, I just will never come back to this team again. That's the only thing I'm not returning to is them. I'm available to work, though. Very willing and able. Okay. In addition, the Athletics' Jeff Zrebiec believes Tyler Linderbaum appears primed to eclipse Creed Humphrey as the league's highest-paid center in free agency. He's expected to have a strong market. In other words, the 2 natural landing spots will be to return to Baltimore and a reunion with John Harbaugh in New York, though neither is exactly flush with cap space. So we'll see what happens there. Those are obviously the 2 most likely landing spots for Linderbaum, but very good football player, center, available. We'll see. It's a big price tag. The Athletics' Zach Rosenblatt believes the Jets could release Justin Fields, which is great. That's just one step closer to my dream of him coming back and being our backup quarterback. Oh, talk about a shocking turn of events. I've never talked more trash about any human being on planet Earth than Justin Fields, ever. I just want him back. I miss him. Suppose if he comes back and plays for us and fails, and we lose games because of him backing up Jordan Love, I get to hate him again, and then I'll be whole. Jordan Schultz reports via sources the Dolphins have had trade talks with teams regarding 5-time Pro Bowl safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. Miami released 4 players earlier this week, including Tyreek Hill, and are in the early stages of resetting the roster under the new regime. Have no reason to believe that the Packers would go in this direction, but it's definitely important information. And again, anybody that hits the market ends up helping us, because that's one person that they're investing in that takes up the money they could have used in somebody that, we want. Only concerning question is, does he end up somewhere in the NFC North? And Minnesota, potentially, I could see that. Chicago also, depending on if they decide to move on from some other pieces that they have. I mean, everybody in the NFC North needs corner a lot more than they need safety, but there are some options. And Minkah also could potentially play corner, but usually you go the other direction as you get older. You don't go from safety to corner. And then before we get to the NFC North stuff, Cam Newton is catching heat after a podcast clip circulated where he said a woman's value decreases the more children she has. Cam Newton has to be one of the most unlikable human beings in all of the NFL. I've never liked the guy. I actually just saw a thing that Jalen Hurts was the most unliked via a poll, which I don't really understand that. I know he's not liked by his own teammates. I find it surprising that a lot of other people would really hate him, unless it's primarily just Dallas Cowboys fans taking that poll. I don't know. But Cam Newton has always just been a freaking douche. He's so cocky, and all I remember is him sitting over on the sideline with a towel over his head, pouting and moping when things didn't go his way. And then he goes to the press conferences dressed up like some freaking weird sideshow clown in women's clothing. And then he goes and starts like his own little podcast where he says the most ridiculous, stupid crap. And I hate those shows where they sit around in a big circle and somebody says the dumbest crap you've ever heard, and everybody else in the circle goes, yeah, wow, that's powerful. Bro, you're all stupid. Shut up. So, yeah, he is the most arrogant, self-centered, self-focused, condescending, cocky jagoff. He has 9 children with 3 different women, by the way, which I guess makes sense if you feel that her value continues to go down the more kids she has. You got to go find somebody else, I suppose, according to Cam Newton's worldview. Yeah, he's a freaking loser. 1 minute ago, via NFL Rums, which is kind of a stupid account, but sometimes they find sources from other places as opposed to just making stuff up. Many people around the NFL believe Chicago Bears will make DJ Moore available this offseason, which wouldn't be that surprising because he costs way more than the value that he provides to the Chicago Bears at this point. Plus, I don't think he wants to be there. I don't think he likes it there anymore. Getting to some NFC North stuff, I kind of think this is significant, and obviously opinions will vary. I'm sure Lions fans would disagree, but Rod Wood, president and CEO of the Detroit Lions, announced today, the 18th, he's going to be stepping down before the start of the 2026 season. Now, that's retiring, not like you got fired or anything like that. Voluntary retirement, no drama, scandal, or forced exit. The reason I think that this is a big deal is I think the Lions for a long time have been severely mismanaged. And obviously at the top of that is, the Ford family. But I feel like things have turned around, and I've been mostly complimentary of, first of all, Sheila Ford came in and really put the hammer down on some stuff. Brad Holmes, the GM, obviously has done some good stuff. And then the head coach gets, I think, the majority of the credit. But I think Rod Wood, and maybe not, but I think Rod Wood, who was 2015 when he first started, and granted, that's a long time. So maybe you can't really give him much credit for that. I don't know. But I had kind of thought that the current group that they had was significantly more competent than what we usually would see from the Detroit Lions. Now, Holmes hasn't been drafting quite as well as those, handful of years where he really knocked it out of the freaking park, and I said he was the best GM in football. We'll have to see. I have to go back and kind of reevaluate after last year and everything. I don't even remember who they drafted. I know the offensive linemen that they got have not massively panned out, but I don't know. I think losing the president, first of all, it's a massive role. So Sheila Ford Hampton, I think is her name. It says Hamp, but I think it's Hampton. She's not actually doing very much. Her job is to, as, principal owner, along with Martha Ford, William Clay Ford, Elizabeth Ford, Martha Firestone Ford, which is a heck of a thing, owner and chair emeritus. Their job is to make sure that somebody is in place that knows what the heck they're doing and gets things running properly. That's Rod Wood. That's the guy at the top. That is the topmost person that's actually a football person. And even that maybe is not necessarily correct, because usually what Ford does, and I think they did the same thing in this case with Rod, is they grab a Ford executive and they bring him into the NFL. I don't know. I don't know what Lions fans and Lions media, whatever, generally think of Rod Wood. But again, it just feels like things have changed with Sheila and Rod and Holmes and everything. And losing this guy, I think, especially if Brad Holmes continues to disappoint moving forward, can Sheila and company do it again? Because again, remember, what they usually do is they just grab some executive out of Ford and stick them in the Detroit Lions and see how that works, and it usually doesn't work very well. And I feel like they got potentially lucky in getting the right guys, and I don't know that they can necessarily do that again. We'll see. Maybe they can. Maybe they figured out the formula. I don't know. But usually these, very rich owners, understandably, they're not really football people, don't necessarily know the right steps to take. They spend a lot of money on bringing in executives, and they put together think tanks that are not necessarily NFL think tanks, business people that'll put together a spreadsheet telling them who the next best person to hire is going to be. But it'll be interesting to see. I'll be interested to kind of track that. I'd be interested to kind of see what Lions fans think. In fact, give me 5 minutes to check that out. Yeah, it seems like he's more seen as the business guy, which I guess makes sense. It was kind of similar in Green Bay. Mark Murphy obviously gets some credit, but it's mostly the financials of the business and whatnot. Either way, I'm going to be interested to see who they put in his seat and everything. A little bit on the Minnesota Vikings here as far as J.J. McCarthy. I saw this over at the Purple Persuasion. First of all, if we kind of backtrack a little bit, Jason LaConfora, is there a reunion coming for Kirk Cousins? Plenty of smart people in the NFL believe so. We sort through the quarterback market over at SportsBoom.com. It's so crazy with how many media companies are failing that there's all these random pop-ups all over the place. And now there's, every time you try to follow somebody, they're working for a new organization that has some rich backer that throws a bunch of money around to hire some big names. Jason LaConfora is working for SportsBoom.com. What the heck is that now? I cannot keep up with all this stupid nonsense. Anywho, the Purple Persuasion takes out a couple quotes. It says, "They can say what they want publicly, but they have some serious questions about McCarthy," said one NFL general manager who is exploring myriad quarterback options. "Look, they're signing someone else to push him, and it's not just going to be some stiff on a vet minimum contract." In other words, he expects them to bring in a veteran to, quote-unquote, push him, and it's not just going to be some nobody that has no chance of potentially winning that job. Then he quote tweets that with another quote that says, "J.J. McCarthy has proven to be difficult to develop, according to multiple league sources." Then, another report from February 17th via The Athletic. The Athletic's Alec Lewis reports the Vikings removed most of their over-the-middle passing concepts throughout the season to keep J.J. McCarthy's line of sight simple. The depth of the McCarthy struggles last year were obvious, but the fact that the Vikings didn't even trust him to do some fairly remedial work adds another layer to just how fractured this offense was. It's almost impossible to imagine McCarthy winning a starting job against whoever the Vikings bring in this offseason. In fact, with Kwesi Adofo-Mensah fired, it's probably not far-fetched to suggest that McCarthy could be available in a trade if another team still believes in him. If he stays in Minnesota, McCarthy is an easy fantasy football fade in 2026, which is a fair point and kind of sucks. Obviously, as Packer fans, we want failure to endure forever on these other teams. The problem is if they're really, really bad, they could go sooner than later. And especially when they fire the GM that drafted them, why would a new GM come in and say, yeah, I feel obligated to hang on to this freaking guy? You got the coach saying, I don't want him. I don't like him. He's uncoachable. That's been evident since day one. Their head coach, I mean, he hasn't even hid it, which is kind of not great for a head coach, but he has not even hid the fact that he despises J.J. McCarthy. To be fair, it would be hard to hide because he's the cringiest little dweeb I think I've ever seen in my life. I feel like this is our first glimpse at like the freaking Gen Z, little Gen Z kid coming in to play quarterback. Like, you freaking Minecraft dork.
That's goated, bro. That's goated, bro. My aura is goated.
Anyways, I'm down for the downward spiral. I mean, they had such a good thing with quarterbacks. I think they were doing really well with Kirk Cousins, and then they get even luckier by bringing in another guy that ends up deciding he's just going to be an elite quarterback, and they're like, no, we're going to get rid of him too. So we're going to get rid of the one guy that's pretty good. We're going to get rid of the other guy that's playing elite football. We're going to stick with this JJ guy. Oh, wait, that didn't work. Never mind. Let's bring back Cousins, who at this point just absolutely sucks at football. Let's do. I want you to do that. As much as I tried to give Cousins so much praise, at this point in his career, I don't know that there's anything I'd love more than another shot at Kirk Cousins. I want Micah Parsons attacking 500-year-old Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. That's exactly what I want to happen. Please let that happen. Dumbest crap ever. All right, let's take our final break and we'll rip through what we rip through. All right, I apologize for whoever sent me this. In fact, it probably must have been a text message because it's, well, it doesn't matter. Somebody sent me this. It was a while ago, and I forgot who did it. I apologize. But appreciate you guys sending me all the nonsense content that is out there. This is from First Take, Chris Conte's top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC. I want to start off by just pointing out how much I hate the modern, and they've been doing this for a long time now. It's why I just refuse to watch it. Probably the last 10, 15 years, and I think it's just getting significantly worse. I pointed this out like last year. There was something where they're just like screaming at you. There's this thing now where it's like, in order to get people's attention, and I don't know if this is like a Gen Z thing because they got a short attention span. They're like, maybe if we just scream in their face, they'll watch us. But this is now what they're doing on shows like First Take. Here is a top 5 list. All I want you to do is tell me your top 5 quarterbacks. Can you do that? Sure, I'd be happy to. Let me put on my reading glasses and get out my list and explain this to you in a calm, reasonable, rational manner.
Yeah. I said I wasn't going to jump, but I got my first chance to do the A-list this season. They saved the best for last. It's your boy, Chris Canty, the resident Super Bowl champ. And this A-list is inspired by my brother, Ryan Clark, RC, who said half the quarterbacks in the NFC are better than Sammy Darnold. So here it is, my top 5 quarterbacks.
Bro.
From Alicia. Bread sandwich with.
Okay. What? Okay. Why are you doing that? Like, every word it has to be screamed? Why? And why are you jumping? And why are you clapping in between each word? I'm right here, dude. I'm listening. Just get to your freaking list. What are you doing? You sound stupid. All right? Please continue. I know they tell you you have to do this. Like, this is how you're supposed to behave. It's not worth the money, bro. Go get another job.
Quarterbacks in the NFC right now. Let's kick off the list with number 5. We got Caleb Williams.
Okay. And I'm done. Number 5. Let's go through the NFC North quarterback, or excuse me. I don't know. He might be top 5 in the NFC North. Can we just briefly go through the quarterbacks in the NFC? Obviously, there's a lot of bad quarterbacks, and I think it's fair to put him ahead of several of them. But I mean, Stafford and Dak and Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold and Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff and Jaden Daniels and Who else here? Baker. There's some good quarterbacks that are deserving of a discussion. I think it's going to be tough to put him in the top 5. Let's see what he has to say here.
That is a bad man going into last offseason. I said the Chicago Bears got the Sam Bowie of the 2024 draft class. I was wrong. This dude is like that. Now, he was
Okay, I'm trying to find. So he's bad and he's like that. I'm looking on PFF here. I don't see that as a metric. Bad. Let me Control F and try to search that. Bad. Nope. How about like that? Nope. There is a bad throw percentage, but I don't think that's what he's talking about necessarily. All right, so let's continue. So bad and like that.
At the bottom of the league in completion percentage percentage above expected, and off-target percentage.
Okay, so that sounds bad.
But that's just a lot of fancy ways of saying that he doesn't hit the layup throws consistently enough. But
I don't think that's what that means. I don't think being at the bottom of the league in accuracy means you don't hit the layup throws. I mean, it's not a 1-to-1 thing. I mean, the stat, if you look up the definition of completion percentage, it doesn't say how often do you complete passes that are layup throws. You know what I mean? So I don't think that that's exactly correct when you say that that's what that means.
But with this dude...
But I mean, we can look into it and see if what you're implying is actually happening. And that is that he's just throwing it deeper down the field all the time, and that's why he sucks at being accurate.
Does do is has a handful of throws every single game that no other quarterback in the NFL can make. Okay. All you got to do is look at the 4th and forever throw to Rome Odunze that he made to beat the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. Look at the throw he made to DJ Moore, 46-yard touchdown to beat the Green Bay Packers in the regular season. Look at the throw that man made to force overtime in the divisional round against the LA Rams with Cole Kmet. This dude is really, really improved, and the evidence of that is seeing how he's cut down on the sacks. Keeping it moving.
Oh, I threw my head for a little bit of a loop there. So he's good because he's bad and he's like that, and the bad stats don't mean anything. That's just fake. What you need to pay attention to is the fact that he has, in his words, I believe it was a handful of good plays every game, which feels like a really low standard. That would be like if a left tackle had a couple good blocks every game, you know? I'm sorry. 7 sacks given up? Yeah, but you're focusing on the wrong thing. You should be looking at the 3 times he pancaked the guy. No, I don't think I will. Actually. And the improvement he made is the fact that he's not getting sacked as much anymore. Okay? He is good at evading sacks. That is true. He's also very good at having his offensive line improved a lot, apparently. And I don't know that has anything to do with throwing a football. But you know, yeah, he did, I should say, a very good job of evading sacks. Whether that'll continue, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of, I think Justin Fields in year 2 had like statistically the greatest rushing season a quarterback has ever had ever. Like better than Lamar, but I forget exactly what the stat was, but it was one of those things that when I found it, I said, oh, okay, that'll never happen again. I promise you he will not be as good of a rushing quarterback next year. And he wasn't, because it was statistically impossible. I don't know if that's the situation with Caleb, but what he did looked, I get the feeling that he's probably going to get sacked a little bit more. Maybe not. And to be fair, if we look at his pressure to sack rate, it's 9.6, which is actually not even as good as Brock Purdy, which is to say apparently Brock Purdy's even better at evading sacks, and Jordan Love is the next best at 10.5% pressure to sack rate, next lowest. So maybe it is sustainable. I don't know. I just, I feel like I've heard more compelling arguments than this, but okay, so he's bad. He's like that. His stats suck, but he has a couple highlight throws a game, and he evades sacks. Anything else?
Number 4?
Nope. Okay. I guess that's it. Number 4, he put Jalen Hurts, which we should move on because the Caleb Williams thing was the most important thing. But I feel like, what the heck is Jalen Hurts doing in the top 5? Because I don't know that he should be. Maybe. Trying to think if he was top 5 in like any statistical category at all in the NFC, and I don't believe he was. And I don't think I want to listen to all of his reasonings. At number 3, he had Sam Darnold, and then he had Jaden Daniels, which I also found pretty shocking. I don't think Jaden Daniels belongs anywhere inside of the top 5. He played 7 games. He graded out 10th among NFC quarterbacks via PFF passing grade, 11th in his overall grade. I don't know what he could have done to be ahead of so many people. And then Matthew Stafford is number 1. So Stafford and Darnold clearly belong. I think 3 of the 5 are wrong, which is kind of shocking. First of all, Jordan Love, 1,000,000,000% belongs in that conversation. I don't know how Dak doesn't make it. And, I understand that Brock Purdy is the most hated quarterback in the history of football, in that he has never once been given any credit. But I kind of think he belongs. If you want to say Jalen over Brock, okay, or maybe force feed Jared Goff in there or something, I don't know. But yeah, I think somehow you managed to get 3 of 5 of the top 5 wrong, and that's quite remarkable. So I don't know. These people are a freaking joke, and I know it's not nice. Everybody's supposed to come out and talk about how these media apparatuses that are falling apart is some kind of a horrific thing that's happening. I in no way see any loss whatsoever. Like, oh no, ESPN is going to lose Chris Conti screaming in my face and saying nonsense for no reason. We need to spend tens of millions of dollars for a massive skyscraper, office space in a massive skyscraper in Manhattan with millions of dollars worth of equipment, 15 different staff, and multi-million-dollar personalities to scream in my face and say nonsense, rather than some guy on YouTube just saying something that makes sense for 30 minutes in his freaking mom's basement. Yeah, give me the kid in his mom's basement that's not an idiot, that spent $35 on a camera and is using his mom's computer and invests his time in actually learning things and not being an idiot. No, but we definitely need ESPN. We need them to spend tens of millions of dollars to be stupid and scream in my face. That's what we need to happen. I need that. It's actually critical to our society, to the very fabric of our society, that this continue. It's boy, I don't know how we'll survive as a society without that. Anywho, last time we did this, I didn't get to a single Packers thing, and I still haven't really got to a single Packers thing. So let me make sure I at least squeeze a couple in here. First of all, Mark Murphy is retired Packers CEO. Mark Murphy is headed to the Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame. Join us on July 8th at the Marcus Performing Arts Center to celebrate his 17-year legacy. More inductees coming soon. And you guys want to go? We'll go hang out. Go to the Marcus Performing Center. Why did I sound like Butthead right there? No. Holy crap, these tickets. Dude, I thought it'd be like $20 to get in and be like, what's up, guys? Become a part of this exclusive event. Induction shout out. Would you like to congratulate this year's inductee at the 76 Hall of Fame induction ceremony? Your graphic will be included in the presentation. Oh yeah, I want to see my face up there. There's Ryan. Anyways, that costs $2,500. Or if you'd like a row of 8 seats, it's $5,000. I just wanted like a ticket to sit in the back. The 2025 Hall of Fame inductees, Ernie Johnson Jr., Joe Thomas, and Mason Crosby. What even is this? Bro, I want to start something like this. The United States did a great job in Sports Achievement Award. I'm going to call you up and be like, hey, you won an award, you want to come see it? And then I'm going to tell people that so-and-so has been inducted to my You've Been Great at Sports Award, and it's $5,000 a ticket. And then people show up and I make a lot of money and I hand them a garbage trophy. Or a nice trophy. I haven't figured out. It depends how many tickets I sell, whether I may give them a nice trophy. But there's your trophy, and I freaking raked in a bunch of money. Win-win. And they have a golf outing where people pay a lot of money to go golfing. So yeah, then I'll have a golf outing. And if you want to come golf with me in this Hall of Famer that got my garbage trophy that I just printed on my 3D printer, you have to pay me another $5,000. That's what happens when you're a very good businessman. You can just do stuff, you know? I started this organization, and then I partner with a bunch of sponsors that pay me money, and then I just give out awards, and people show up, and they give me money. I just do things, and they just show up, you know? Businessmen are impressive. You have a silent auction? Of course you do. People give you free stuff on top of it, and then people donate and give you more money. It's freaking brilliant. Anywho, congrats to Mark on his induction into the Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame. I think I might induct him into my Hall of Fame as well. I'm gonna start a poster board behind me, and I'm gonna have my own Hall of Fame up there. I'm gonna call them and see if they want to show up at my house and receive their award. Hey, you want to come to my house and get an award, and we can hang it on my wall together, and I'll make us some ribs. I'm shifting very hard from hard sarcasm to I actually think this is a genius idea. We can retroactively add a few people, but it's like once a year, 2 to 3 people get added. We can add callers from Packing It After Dark, as well as just, random people for whatever reason. Just people I've always liked for some weird reason. Zach Tom, because I liked him in the draft and then we drafted him, so that was cool. Devontae Wyatt for the same reason. Could even give out like an anti-award. Call it the Billy Turner Award for excellence in ruining my life. Dang it, I want to do this so bad now. I think we should do it. You know what I mean? I think we should do it. We'll have some retroactive award ceremonies, and then we'll have the one for 2025 at the culmination, honoring people from 2025. I already know who won one of the awards for sure. But, Brett Favre would get one, obviously. He's maybe the first Hall of Famer inducted into my Hall of Fame for being awesome and giving me a childhood. Could even have a People's Choice Award. Just have some listeners, fill out a survey. Dang it, I like this idea a lot. All right, I should stop, but I'm trying to think if there's a short one here we can do before I get up out of here. I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling good. I don't want to stop yet. All right, let's apparently SpotTrack has calculated Malik Willis to earn $35.5 million annually. Again, I'm always kind of iffy on SpotTrack's estimations, but that I think, at least for me, even though I kind of knew and you probably know it, it's one of those things where you kind of know, and then when you see it, it's kind of oh, now I really, really know. And what I'm talking about is just the impossibility of Malik ever staying here. You know what I mean? And I saw somebody put it, I think it was like Trevor Sycamore or something, talking about how he went through a certain stat of Malik's and just how unbelievably insane he was. And I genuinely don't think people realize, Packer fans maybe more so than most, but I don't think a lot of people realize just how freaking good he was in Green Bay. Like, it's kind of shocking. And I'm a little scared he's going to go on to be like the best quarterback in football. And I'm just going to be like, dang it, man. We freaking saw it happen here. Like, I love Jordan and everything's great, but freaking dang it. But, wish him the best and whatnot. All right, I'll tell you what. I got to do Packing It After Dark. I guess I'll just get up out of here. Appreciate everybody. Get your calls in, 608-501-0718. You guys are making it too easy on me, giving me days off here. So don't be doing that. Get them in, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.